And there is one caller. I will admit them. Okay. The meeting is yours, Michael.
Okay, let's get started. And so we'll start off with the pledge. So I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Okay. As I said when I logged in that my camera died on Monday, so you are spared from having to actually see me. So I'll work on getting that. I got to work on getting that fixed. But
Poor college student.
not so much. The poor part is way too much to do to go anywhere to get a camera. More than anything.
There's this thing called Amazon. It's new.
I know. I haven't even had a chance to look at Amazon. That's how bad it is. So I'll have it. I'll have it for the next meeting here. So, okay, so let's have a roll call.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if Sherry's can talk.
Snyder,
We didn't hear most of that, Sherry.
okay,
Snyder.
Snyder. Nye,
Here. Sorry, here. God.
Gotta get off mute, guys.
So,
all right, can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear
we
me?
can. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so Snyder,
Here.
Nye,
Here.
Hurst,
Here.
Duff,
Here.
Martini,
Here.
Sargent,
here,
Scott.
all right. Do we know why John's not here?
Yeah, he said he had some family, I think a family thing going on.
Should we do an excusal?
Sure. Move to excuse John from the meeting.
Support.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Approval of the minutes. Have we gone through the minutes?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. And are there any changes?
I had none.
Nope.
I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
I second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. Any additions to the agenda?
None here.
No.
None here. So, okay, so call to the public. Is there any public to be called to?
No members of the public. I think the one phone caller is Sherry.
Okay. Then,
Had me nervous there.
not really. You never know what you're gonna get though. So, all right, administration report. Does anybody know what I have not received anything about lake levels or anything like that.
I would guess it's normal because there's just a little bit of water going over the dam, so.
Okay, I would concur with that. So
We had some transducer, we'd be able to read it live.
exactly, and since Mr. Scott is not with us today. We probably won't know much about that.
Would the status of the harvester be in the administrative report? I thought I saw a tow truck pulling it across the lake there.
Yeah, it's back. I think it blew a hydraulic line and then they
Okay.
fixed it.
Yeah, I was running this morning.
Okay.
Well, that's
Does that impact our water quality?
yeah, it's all shot now. That 5 minutes it was off. The plants just took over.
I'm talking about the hydraulic fluids in the lake.
Yeah, they do.
Most of them are biodegradable. Like for my hydraulic lift and stuff, it's
Oh,
almost,
yeah?
almost like vegetable oil. Yeah.
Yeah, I would suspect that it's probably not that big of a deal.
Which is why it costs an arm and a leg. The lift oil is super expensive.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think they would probably permit a harvester to go if it was running super toxic hydraulic fluid in it.
Yeah.
Or lakes.
Mhm.
But I don't know. So noteworthy complaints to the village. I have not received. It's been remarkably calm, actually.
We have nothing about weeds
I have not heard a thing about weeds.
besides Doug.
I haven't seen any complaints, online at least, and people message me and stuff. So I think we'll talk about it when we get to the harvester. I think we need to track that a little bit differently. I'll talk about, but
Okay.
nobody's said, I haven't seen anything, at least online.
I haven't either. So, which is good news that everybody's at least placated. They may not be happy, but they're not complaining. So
I think it's gotten better.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely spots that you could pick up quite a bit, but I mean, I think the harvester's out there a lot, right? I think that this last treatment was, 2 weeks instead of 3. I think it helped. They're coming back out this week to check again. So I think keeping the schedule tighter and running that harvester is going to be the way to go.
okay. I agree. Chairperson's report and general communications
quick,
to the board.
Mike, you made it sound like there were no complaints except Doug, but sarcastic. Are there problems that you see or?
No. It's unusual, especially when everybody's spending so much time on the lake because we have nothing else to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in pretty good shape though. I mean, and at least when I'm going around, I'm not seeing a bunch of algae or anything like that. That seems behind us, once the temperature changed a little bit, we got some rain. But I mean, it's looked pretty reasonable to me.
I thought we were going to add aquatic plants to our continuing future business items, but while we're on the subject here, I know we changed the treatment to a new chemical for the weeds that's apparently takes a lot longer to dissipate when it comes to watering your lawns. But does anybody know how are we going to assess the effectiveness of that? I mean,
I think it's like that slow release algicide.
Yeah.
Like it was like crystallized algicide that they were going to use they were going to focus back on the canals, right?
So do we have any way of determining if it was better or worse? I mean, it appears to be better, but are we going to get any kind of assessment?
I would assume our vocal canal house owners would be communicating the issue if it was bad. What do you think, Kathy?
I think so. I think that's the only way we're going to get some assessment is either through feedback from the community or if one of us takes a peek out and looks around.
Well, what's your thoughts there?
It does look better. I did not check this past weekend because we were up north, but right before we went up, it looked better.
I'll email the one guy in the bad spot. I mean, that one spot's got nothing. Right? I can email him.
His spot's always going to be horrible. He really needs to put some kind of aeration in there.
Well,
I think that's our best thing is just get the feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if there's no
that's
complaints,
plus.
I wouldn't change.
yeah, we don't have any way to quantitatively assess how effective it is because we didn't do anything. I don't remember taking any measurements beforehand of chlorophyll A or something like that. So we're just gonna have to base that on community.
Yeah. Doug, that area that you outlined is typical for weeds, but I mean, besides the fact that you wrote it up, we didn't get any particular complaints about that area.
Yeah, I just noticed when we were driving down there, it was like to the top of the water down there, and we've been here, I don't know, 3 years, and I'm not seeing it like that before. I think the harvester was down there this morning going through it. Other than that, I think it looks fine. Everything looks good.
It's what I like to hear is no complaints and things look good.
I'm literally emailing that guy that, that's back in the corner there right now. So we'll see what he says.
Okay.
Perfect.
Where'd my agenda go here? Well, this is not good. All right, here we go. All right, so we have under the new business a lake consultant update. Is Mr. Hausler with us?
He's not attending, and he gave his report last time, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think this is old,
An old agenda,
or an old item on the agenda, or,
just got carried over. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he was here last week, so I wouldn't, last month, so I don't think he's gonna be there. He said he wasn't coming.
Yeah, it seemed like it was awful short, but it is summer and maybe he saw something. Okay. Well, that's kind of gone through the meat of the meeting here pretty quickly.
Yes.
So the harvester discussion, was this where you wanted to chime in, Ryan, with what you had?
Yeah, I guess I was just wanted to talk about how we track it. I know Grant is out there, he's running a lot, and people are, I think, happy to just see it, which is good. I don't know if I can share my screen, maybe. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Hold on.
Okay. Pull something up here.
Try it again now.
Hold on. This one. Let's do this. Share. It's coming up. Give it a second. So I was just looking at screen sharing has stopped as the shared window is closed. No, it's not. Okay, let's try this again. Share screen. How about this? Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we get the reports, right? Paul gives us the map, right? This outline map. And then when Grant is out there, he doesn't use this map. He must have it somewhere. But when he's issuing his reports, he'll just write down, or he'll circle areas on a totally different map, right? So I went through the map, right? So this is what was issued for us to do in June 18th, and then they issued a new one on July 9th. So I looked at all the logs and the areas that Grant wrote and physically circled on a different map and kind of translated them to this map, and just trying to see where he said he's been versus where they said you should go. And over the course of the month, he was out there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, generally 4 hours a piece. But there's a bunch of areas on that recommended map that never got to, or just weren't indicated as such, right? My guess is it's probably, how we fill the paperwork, and it's very manual, right? He's got some other thing he's circling, and if you've seen the reports, they're it'll be like a written report. It'll say 4 hours, and then it'll be a picture of a map, and he'll shade something in. But it's not I know it's got GPS tracking on it and all this stuff, but it doesn't actually show anything more than whatever he colors in. So he might have gotten this area and just didn't color it in. He might have been back in here and didn't color it in. But at least over those, 15, 20 days, let me see, from the 22nd to the 9th, what this was, right? He was out there a bunch of times, spent a decent amount of time out there, didn't get all the areas, did get some areas twice, but didn't get some of the other areas according to
And did some areas that weren't even needed.
Yeah, but exactly. But he's also got the freedom to see what he sees and get as much as he wants, right? So there's some obviously some freedom associated with how he operates the thing. And like I said, it could be just the way it's logged. But I was wondering if, I think we should probably get either him to do it like this, where he uses the exact printout that Progressive gave, and every day he circles the area and write a date to say, I did this on this day, this on this day, this on the next day. Or if we can automate this where it's he has a GPS thing and it just records the GPS logs, and you could throw it in Google Maps and it could show you everywhere it went or something. But I think this is the first time I really looked at how we're providing the data, and it's it takes about 45 minutes to just assemble this from the two different sources, where I think it would be better if we could just have them draw it just on this and day over day, circle the next area, and we just use that directly. Because to me, it looks like,
And that would be easy for him. So I don't think that would be too big of a
yeah. So I
problem
think
to ask.
I certainly don't want to try and micromanage what he's doing out there, but I think it'd be worth saying hey, we've read the report from Paul, and in the time span we had to treat it, we were able to get everything right. And we did actually say, go back in here, where there's obviously some areas where we didn't go, and make sure we hit those areas before we hit others twice, potentially. I don't know. So it was the first time I ever actually looked at it. And of course, there's no new data from July. I don't know. They're missing everything post July 9th. But I mean, at least since June through the mid-July, these, according to the report's been running over 57 hours out there, which is pretty good.
Is there any reason that was given for why two different maps are used?
No. And I if you just go to the Wolverine Lake page, right? I'll just show you what it looks like. And it's not, it's this whole,
I bet you the harvester guy just doesn't know that we get this other map maybe from Paul.
I mean, it'd be, you would imagine he would be running, I would think he would be running the harvester based on where they said to harvest though, right? These are the harvest maps,
think,
right? These are the
but
maps that Paul give us to say.
Sometimes lack of communication.
Yeah. So these are the maps that Paul gives, and then I'll give you an example of what I was pulling the data off of. So this is the report, which is pretty generic, but it's not terrible. But this is the map that he uses, right? Where he'll just come in.
That's really old.
Yeah, circle areas, right?
Oh my God.
And then the next day he'll circle more areas, right? And then they keep scanning these things in instead of just using the source map,
Yeah, we should just do that source map and just scan it maybe once a week.
Yeah.
If he runs it 2, 3, 4 days a week, have him do it for the week and then just scan it once and update it.
Yeah, and and it would be great. I mean, it would be a long shot, but if we could actually get it automated,
Yeah, that would be. It might take a little more effort, but let's.
But I basically went through
make it
this,
improvement.
right? I basically went through this and translated his little circles onto the other chart, right? And looked at the dates and did whatever. Some of these things, it's not clear too. It'll be out there. It'll say he ran 4.5 or 5 hours, and he'll say he had 0 loads. I shot him a message just to ask him if I'm interpreting it wrong, but yeah, I think I'll see if the admin can provide him this, or maybe he could do it on this chart, and then we just post this one chart at the end every week. Here's where every session, right? This is from this 18th to the 9th. So, we could update it, and by the end it should look like this, and then Paul will issue a new map and we'll start on the new map,
Ryan, this is supposed to be for the whole year, your red circles?
No, this is for the dates. So I started as this is the recommendation from Paul starting on the 18th, right? And then he issued a new recommendation on the 9th, right? So
Okay.
this is the 18th was here, and these were good until the 9th, and then it was new recommendations. So all I did was take all harvesting trips between the 18th and the 9th and put them on the map.
I know he's done in front of my house, which is not
Sure.
circled, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he did in front of his house, which is not circled. If he
Sure.
did, it's
I think we should look into the automation thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm certainly not saying that the harvester guy is doing a poor job running the harvester. I'm just saying that
No,
when we try and track or get an idea, I would like to know, originally from the harvester discussion, how many loads are you pulling out, right? How big are these, how much weight you're pulling out of this thing? How often are we actually running it? Where are we actually getting it? And we don't have a good way to present that kind of data. And
Right.
it's kind of like, and this is why if he was on, the thing's got GPS on it, right? He shouldn't have to go in and circle what he did, right? You know, and like I said, it's probably, he's probably gotten all the areas, you know, but it doesn't show that way at least.
Yeah, and if he forgets just to color that portion in, we'd never know if he harvested or not.
Yeah. Either way, I was gonna message him and just get some feedback on him on what he thinks we should or could do, or if it's easier if we give him just the actual Paul Hausler's charts and he just circles those things right on there, or if we try and get the GPS off of it or something, you know. But it would be good at the end of the year if we could say, okay, you know, Paul issued 6 different harvest recommendations, and of those final recommendations, this is how we did it, and we hit every spot every time, or we got 80% of it done because it just takes that long, right? It takes him, you know, he put in 25 hours over the course of a week, and he couldn't get the whole lake done. Maybe, I don't know, right? We don't know that unless we get the data, right?
Right. And we need better information.
Anyway, this is the first time I actually have looked at in detail any kind of what the harvester's doing, you know, according to the logs, right? And I think the logs probably aren't representative of what he's actually doing potentially.
No, I agree. He's probably doing more if he ran 57 hours.
Yeah, this bandwidth here is just these dates. So from the 22nd, you know, 22nd to the 9th, which was 33 hours. Yeah.
So it's if he's running 33 hours, then like one would have hoped he would have got more than that. But
I don't know if he didn't and he can't, then we see if we could have him do it more. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what his throughput is.
Or we adjust our expectations based on what he can actually get done.
Yeah, that's it. So just trying to understand. The only way I could do it is take the map, take the data, try and combine it and get an idea of if we think we have it all or not. The fact that we don't have a bunch of complaints is the real measuring stick, but
that's true, but
just data, right?
Well, I think there's other things to complain about right now.
Yeah. The lake weeds aren't the most important thing in your life?
No, not as of this morning, late last night.
Yeah. All right, that's all I had. I'll stop sharing.
Good, nice job, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
No, that was a lot of work.
So, appreciate it. Now we have a good idea on where to go. So, 10B, Mike, do you have anything on the lakeshore erosion?
No, I don't. And I was going to discuss this. I feel like what the recommendation that we originally came up with was sort of, I don't know if the word is ignored, but pushed aside. And I'm wondering if
do you get the feeling that there was another idea that they liked better, even though
yeah,
it wasn't
well, that's,
recommended?
you know, I'm not into mind reading. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm trying to decide. I'm trying to figure out. I wanted to throw this out to the group. You know, what should we be doing here? Should we be pursuing something else and throwing in front of the council, or should we go up there and ask them, what do you guys think we ought to be doing about erosion? Because we kind of like feel like we're spinning our wheels here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're probably
Well,
wanting to spend the money before winter.
Yeah.
So what was the complication with the area that we wanted to do was that we couldn't
Well,
get, the land is not owned by us or something?
there's issues with the figuring out who actually owns the piece of property. There's issues with the road, which I thought was actually probably would make it a stronger point that we want to get after it because there's a road bed there.
Yeah.
So
So have you talked to the
bridge too
engineer?
far.
Have you talked to the engineer or the admin directly, or you're just working through Scott assuming he's taking it up the board?
No, I've not. I went and talked to the Mike, the administrator, and then after couple sessions ago, the way John reported back to me to us, it sounded like they just weren't interested. So
Well, you put your name in the hat to run for council, didn't you?
I did not.
Uh,
Oh,
I don't-
man.
I figured you did, and then you get this done right at the council level.
Nah.
You're waiting for that water board chair seat.
Biding your time till October.
I heard a rumor that our admin was leaving, that our
I heard-
administration.
I heard the same rumor.
Yeah, so did
Already?
I.
Yep, already.
Wow. We're not
So-
that bad, are we?
No, I think some conflicts at the council level.
Yeah, something. I think he's going back to the city he came from.
Albion?
Oh,
It was Clausen.
Clausen, that's it. I was gonna say
Clausen.
Clarkston, but Clausen.
Wow. Wow.
hmm
Hmm.
Well,
Oh,
that's interesting.
So that might be why some things are falling through. Just, unless they're
like
getting
our
hard.
administrator report.
Administrator report, the most recent
Mhm.
weed harvester thing, whatever's going on with erosion.
Is
Easy.
the main office still closed then to the public? You can't just like run in there and get this information?
I was in my
Walked in
village
there,
office
yeah.
the other day.
I was just curious. I don't know what the,
I think the office is open. I was up there putting in an application for sewer.
okay. I go to work every day, so I don't get to work from home.
Oh,
No, I actually have to go in
Yeah, well, that's not a bad thing.
sometimes.
Yeah. I'm getting
okay.
a
Well,
little.
maybe maybe we can approach this differently. Okay, my initial recommendation was we look at that particular area. Does anybody have another idea that I can, we can go back to council on, or I can go
Yeah,
back?
have you gone to council yourself?
No,
Because we could try that directly.
go to the meeting.
Yeah.
We could, but I guess that you then start to wonder if we're
Like
gonna start
John
doing
Scott's
that,
job.
what's the point of having the water board?
Yeah, John Scott's job is to go to council on.
Right.
Well, that's what I thought.
Nice to
So,
That doesn't always happen.
well, okay.
Okay, so, to your point, Mike,
Okay, as a board, do we want to pursue another site for erosion project?
well, there is that one that John keeps talking about down by the apartments, down on Penny Lake Arm.
I thought that's the one where we had the property dispute. That's not, we know we got that?
That one's over the easement to get there with the apartment.
Right.
Then there was the Greenaway drain that he talked about.
Hmm.
That we do own.
Is
So I
that
guess-
an erosion problem or is that a maintenance problem?
That might be more of a maintenance problem and not so much erosion.
Yeah.
Although one would expect that it's a source of sedimentation within the lake, probably, but it's probably not that big of that's not what we're talking about here. That's a different type of treatment for that erosion.
Yeah.
It's coming in through the drain. So anything with a road is kind of off the table? Is that what I understand?
No, just that one, well, that one spot, it's because they can't, apparently the lawyers can't figure out who owns the rights to it, which just surprises me because eventually that, it may take 10 years, but something's going to happen to that roadbed. I don't know if you guys have ever been by there, but it's
Yeah,
just
I drive there every day
not
going,
pretty.
yeah, I drive by there every day going in and out and it's starting to eat against, heading up towards the roadbed there. So that eventually it's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe, I don't know, Mike, can you just call the engineer and the admin directly? Can
Yeah.
you do that and find out what the hell's going on to start? I mean, John Scott is probably half checked out as well, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
his term's ending. He's going to be off the board.
He's leaving the lake, right?
So I mean, he's super involved, obviously, but we may just want to have you go directly to that. I mean, and the engineer was literally just at my house. I could have asked him about it if this meeting happened yesterday, but I'm sure he knows what's going on over there.
All right.
Well, if that road goes in,
Any other-
it's always going to be somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any?
Just
other
FYI,
stuff
guys.
you want to look at?
Just
I can't think of any,
real
Mike.
quick.
Um,
Just real quick, I'll interrupt you for a second. I just got an email back from that guy in the canal.
oh, good.
I asked him, I want to follow up on things, how they look in your area. I haven't been back there. He said, it's much better. I haven't seen any algae since the first treatment. I believe this program works. And then he said, is there anything that can be done to speed up the decay of the leaves in the water of the past years? The amount is
No.
getting pretty thick. So it's the next problem. I'll respond to that.
But he could try to rake some of that out himself in his area.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's the next problem. We'll worry about that later, but the algae thing with the slower release algicide and the more frequent treatment seems to at least to address that.
I'll tell you what,
Sorry.
I'll get with the administrator and the engineer and see where this, this particular site, stands today. It sounds like, everybody except the engineer is checking out of this in the next.
Let me ask Andy too, because years ago Mark told me Andy used that for like pushing snow and stuff
Yeah.
because it's at the end of my court,
Oh,
right? So let me see if he really does that, or if that was just maybe like, temporary, like that winter. You know how it is.
yeah.
You gotta clear the roads.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't have another site that we could use either that comes up that is severely eroding.
Well, we have that whole, the road on the island, that private road over there, but then that gets into who owns that road and, why would the village be paying for that? Because it's a public area.
Yeah, and it's
But
not.
I don't know if you guys probably drive, I don't know if you guys drive out the backside of the island or not, but I
Yeah.
walk through there all the time and it's
It's a mess.
a constant struggle for those folks over there.
Yeah, I'd love to keep it, and I'd love to keep it on a wake part of the lake if possible. I think that was the advantage of that other spot, is that it was like a high wake area with
Mhm.
a lot of boat traffic and
Yep.
the road erosion and the wake erosion. It's a really good spot, but I don't know if is there something that's looking rough over by, down the deep hole over there where all the surf boats are. I don't know if there's a spot over there that's a big wake area that's looking rough.
Which deep hole you talking about?
Like on the west end down towards
Benzine?
Del Monte in
Benzine?
that area.
Oh.
What's that big beach down there? Mallow Beach? Is that what
Mallow
that's called?
Beach.
Mallow Beach.
Yeah, but
Mallow
that deep area there is like obviously the highest wake area on the whole lake at this point.
They've been doing some stuff on that. They put some stone and stuff in there
Mm.
over the last couple of years at least. So, what about around that, around Mallow Beach where we have that inlet that goes into I don't know what that's called over there, where they park all of the rafts for the barge.
Mm.
I'll look around.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, didn't we want to do this as like a showcase?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I thought the other place was really a good idea, but
I'd take another
Yeah.
swing at it. Don't give it. I
Yeah.
still think it's the best.
Yeah, don't
spot.
give up on that, Mike.
I think it's a really good spot. We just need to talk to some more people.
gotcha. All right, I'll start making myself miserable.
Yeah. No. You're supposed
Okay.
to
Need any
make,
help with that?
you need to
I'm gonna
make.
start making them miserable.
That's what you need. You need to
I
make
don't
other
mind.
people miserable. You don't want to make yourself miserable.
I don't mind. Maybe I will go to council next week and ask them what's going on.
There you go. You don't have to go. You just call in.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. I don't have to go.
Call in.
Can you just submit the question through the Zoom question section? No, we don't know.
It'd be better to make their life miserable over the phone.
Hey, I say do it. I like to make their life miserable.
So, okay, well, keep us up to date, Mike, on that.
All right,
And,
see how I can get on their agenda.
okay. So 10C.
You don't
like-
count as call to the public? You think you got to get on the agenda? Can we call to the public that in? Or is that frowned upon since we're
Well, I
not-
guess we could, even though I'm, it's part of this, the Water Management Board. I guess we could do that.
Well, I think if you're on the agenda, it's harder to ignore you
Yeah.
as opposed to the call to the public where you have to compete with everything else going on.
All right.
So, okay, 10C, Canals Muck, the muckrakers. We have anything?
No,
Any
I'm
fun?
kind of. There's no way we're gonna pull anything together for any dredging. I'd like to. If we do consider aeration, I'd like to consider aerating the canals. But I don't think we've ever come to a decision if we're going to push for that.
Right, we were
No,
going to have a
we have-
meeting here. Didn't we? Did we
Yeah.
decide on a meeting?
No, in my opinion, the ball's still on John Scott's court. I asked him to compile, I mean, nobody has more information on the process and what needs to happen in order, what the steps even are and the history than John Scott. He has it all in his head and in files, disaster, probably stored somewhere. I asked him to provide me files and he sent like 6 things about Duck Lake in my email. And I replied to him because he said he's got a bunch of stuff on the cloud that he was going to organize. And I said, these are the things I want information on, which is the process we follow to get it, who we need to contact, what data, if any, we had. Like I asked for some specific stuff and he said he'd get it together. So that was as of last week. He said he was still working that. So
You
as
can
far as
also
I'm
try,
concerned, I wouldn't even know where to start right now.
you could try Paul Hauser. He probably has a lot of the data that we collected before the permit, and he may have
Right.
even put together the permit.
Yeah.
No, the pond guys did.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I get whatever information so I even understand the process, right? What are the steps that we need to take, right?
Right.
I don't think unless you guys know it, then you can write it down. I imagine the only person that has that written down is John Scott.
No, yeah, I came in after the aeration was installed.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's right now I have no additional information, and if John disappears without giving it to me, then we'll have to start from scratch.
yeah,
And
we will.
we'll be on our third or fourth admin since then, plus John will be gone, so it'll be literally starting from ground zero, which is going to be a lot more work than I was hoping.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding about that. But if we do start up aeration, I agree that it should go into the canal area, just to
Yeah.
wash that stuff out more than anything.
I think it would help a lot, and I think it would make more people happy.
Except for the guys that live on the end of the canals where all the muck will start running out, but
Yeah, I guess you need to consider that. The girl Jennifer that John's talked about, she's Lake Island, I don't know, lake person.
limnologist.
Yeah, she's put aeration into canals before, and I think I might have her contact information.
Yeah. I think she was instrumental in getting kind of behind the scenes of getting aeration into this lake.
Yeah.
I don't think she was anywhere on the record. But
No, but I think just through like her experience and talking to John and all that good stuff.
yeah. So she might be a resource to look at into.
Right, because I know getting the process started isn't as bad as it sounds. What we really don't understand is what type of aerators to put where and what we should expect from them, right? You don't want to expect too much from the situation or too little, right? And then we have to decide how we're going to monitor it. to to tell if it's working. I don't want to just put something in again like we did and randomly collect data and not have it mean anything to anybody.
Yeah, we have to set it up so we know what our goals are and where we're going and what our definition of success is before we even start
Right.
that.
And not just the definition of here's what the DNR says to do. We need more than that, right? The DNR is only giving you what they want, which is minimal compared to what we as a community on the lake want.
Yes, and we need to know but to get the community to tell us has always been like pulling teeth out of a chicken.
Well, maybe that's what we just need to do. We need to have a meeting amongst us and come up with some ideal goals. How would we then expect to see results or monitor those goals? And is it feasible?
Right, and for aeration,
Correct.
I don't disagree with that, but I think part of that discussion will have to be what has been done in the past, and which is what Ryan's trying to gather up.
Yeah, I've asked numerous people, they can't provide us. If data was collected and given to somebody, nobody knows where it is. It's very frustrating.
Is anybody thought
We
to
would-
contact Cliffy?
I don't have Cliff's information, but and I know what was done in our lake is very different than putting it in the canal, and that's the only thing we could try to do is reach out to somebody like Jennifer or another lakeologist and say, what have you done in what canal and where and how, get their perspective. And it's almost like interviewing them, right?
Well, yeah, somebody who has experience with aeration and what
Right.
it can do. Paul's company, Progressive, is not an advocate for aeration.
Correct.
And I'm kind of up in the air about it. I don't know. I haven't made any judgments on the quality of what it can do. But we need to find somebody that can tell us what they think it can do.
Have any of us read any of that Duck Lake information that John's given us? Like thoroughly read it
Yeah, I did, but it was
a while ago.
far too long ago for me to pull out of my
Right.
somewhat less than plastic brain.
I know. And it's
Um,
kind of like our third or fourth down on my list for things to accomplish. So it always falls.
yeah, I know.
Right now we have no school, so I got to worry about that. So
Well, at least yours is up in the third or fourth. I'm not even sure where mine is. Mine probably has double digits.
all right. Well,
Okay, so anyway, we'll keep looking on that. We're going to have to schedule an aeration meeting as soon as possible, which will probably be October.
yeah, I think we should have just a meeting amongst ourselves. We really should do it in person so we can have a whiteboard and all that garbage, but
Well, yeah. The problem is that I'm not well versed enough to know what the protocols for that are.
I know,
As
I
far
don't
as
either.
Open Meeting Act and stuff like that. If it's a work session, I don't know if we met at the Glengarry Inn and started talking about it. Does that constitute a meeting? I don't know, but I really would rather not.
Technically, yes. Anytime 2 or 3 members from any board from a government get together and have a chat about anything having to do with business of
Okay.
the board, you're in violation of the open meetings unless you announced that you were going to do that.
That's why we've never been invited on your pontoon boat.
Yeah.
that way we get social distance.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna have to come up with at some point real soon on where to have a discussion about aeration, whether it's between just us or we open it up to a thematic meeting and call the public in and have that party or storming of the Bastille maybe is probably a better term. And see what we can, but we need to do that soon.
Yeah, we should really put together a little something before we call the public in.
Should we get that on the agenda? See, I like your idea of just kind of meeting informally or something like that, but
I know. Just because we're really just trying to figure out even what we need to do or where we need to look. I mean, it is very informal. We're not ready for any decision making.
right. And my understanding was as long as a decision isn't made, then it's not a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Well, the
Right.
thing is it prevents the general public from being able to both listen to and participate in the discourse of how decisions are made. The concern is that a group could get together, make a decision outside of the normal meeting time, and then just bring in the thought without
Yeah,
anybody ever
I
having
get
to
it.
figure it out. You know, I was just trying to look up what the requirements are. I think for a special meeting, you have to post, it says you have to post a notice at least 18 hours before the meeting. It does not apply to special meetings and subcommittees of a public body. So, I mean, it's not that arduous to be informal. I don't think we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to flock to it.
Yeah, probably not. And we're still so early in this situation. We really have nothing to decide on yet.
Right.
So, maybe we as a group need to decide what our objective is. And
Well, that's what I was hoping to get the meeting together for.
Yeah, that's,
just
I
to
think
get
that's what
even
Kathy's
figure
after here.
out that. It's almost like the pre-meeting to being able to bring it to the public. And I get what you're saying, Paul. It's just how can we handle this?
Okay, so if we have a special meeting on a canal or on aeration, excuse me, and we just do it. I mean, I think one of the things that is happening is we're too afraid to take a direction. Let's take a direction and start going on it until somebody tells us to stop.
Right. We just need to.
Yeah, except for when you do that and we violate the Open Meetings Act, then we set up.
I'm not saying we do that. I say that we, let's call a meeting on, if we need to call a special Zoom meeting on aeration and open
And
it
then
up.
make a decision on which way we
About
want
where
to go
we're
in
getting.
narration. Yeah.
Well, then
I
let's
mean,
just.
I guess I don't understand what meeting or decision we're having, who's bringing what data to the table to make a decision. Where the discussion.
My thought was either we come together and figure out the data and figure out the goals and figure out who's going to then go home and do what homework, or we all do it independently and then have a meeting.
Mhm.
I think if we have.
I think this is
meeting-
why I've requested the history from John Scott to see what happened to get there in the first place. We made some outrageous initial investment. There must have been some assumptions or something associated with it. The process was understood. We knew what the next steps were. All that information's sitting there, right? We need to look at what was previously done, understand the history of the system, how it even got there, right? And
No,
then
definitely.
figure out if it's applicable to any of our current problems. What problems do we think we could use it to solve? That I think without getting the history, I find it hard to start. So
No, I agree. I'm just, after 2 years of this, I'm not sure we're going to get that.
I think we will. I think
Okay.
it'll come.
Yeah, and we might, and this is going to be a dubious suggestion, but I think I'm going to throw it out there anyway, just for, to consider that we might want to have, like Jennifer show up, because to be frank with you, I don't even know what can be accomplished with aeration. What we can even expect. Can we expect it to turn our lake into gold?
No.
No,
Or
and that's what I'm saying. If we ran it for however many years and showed quote unquote no measurable improvement,
Right.
right? We have to say, yeah, we know that happened, but it's going to be different this time because we're using it for something different, or we're doing it differently,
Exactly.
or we just didn't measure good enough, or we had no objective, or how are we going to justify just reissuing and going through all the work and doing it all over again? What are we doing differently, right? But that's what I need to know, what we did.
And
Yeah,
that's
we
been
see
hard
what we
because
can do
I've
differently.
I've asked council numerous times. They don't have a lot of information. So
my
hopefully
sense
John
is-
does.
my sense is that they didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
This
That's
was,
kind of
so, I think it's almost like they threw this thing into the lake to see what would happen. More than anything at all. I mean, I probably very much generalizing that, but that's kind of the sense I got, and that there really wasn't. I mean, because the goals that we've been given by John Scott and other members of the committee or council have been pretty vague and not very specific at all.
exactly.
And so,
They didn't have any.
and that's why I'm thinking that if we got like a Jennifer in an informal, not in front of a normal council or water board meeting, but just as an informal, educate us on what this process could do for our lake. That might be more beneficial, and especially going forward with deciding if we even want to do it.
Right. And that's what I was proposing.
Yeah.
We have to come up with a plan ourselves, or like get educated to even decide, is this something we're going to go with?
And
Or if not
I
that
Like I said, we got to say what problem we're trying to solve. Are we saying, I don't know why it got in there in the first place, right? But are we
Yeah.
saying we want to clean up muck in the canal? Is that the new mission plan? There's the new objective here. And now we're going to see if this system can do that. And if it can't, we pull it out. Is that what we're talking about? Or are we just saying, what can this system be used for? Because we've already paid for it. That's a different thing. What can
Well,
we
that's-
make the most out of it?
I think that's what we're saying is at least for me, I don't even know what the capability of the system is.
Right.
That's why I kind of gave that whole pie, and it changes the water in the lake into gold. I mean, can it do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so we need somebody who knows a lot more about this than all of us combined to tell us what could happen. And then we can start taking what that person tells us and making goals. Okay, so it does turn our lake water to gold, and but you know what? That makes it hard to boat in. So we're not going to do that. But hey, you know what? This cleaning out the canals sounds like a good idea.
I assume Hauser's group doesn't like aeration because why? It's a dubious result, or
there's no scientific consensus on whether it works or not.
okay, so it could be a sky hook, it could be, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's two camps, like there always is. There's one that says it doesn't work with a dam. There's the other ones that say, it'll cure cancer, that kind of stuff. So I just need to know more about what the potentials it can do. I mean, I know the mechanics behind it, but I don't understand enough about it to be able to, come up with a conjecture on what it could possibly do. And the chances are, even if I did, it would be wrong because I don't deal with it. So we need somebody, maybe Jennifer. I'm a little reluctant with the pond guys. Haven't been what you'd say real happy with their performance lately. But so Jennifer may be a perfect person to come in and educate us on what the potentials are here. Then we can move into Ryan's what Ryan's saying, which is very correct, of taking the data and the original goals and coming up with, this is what we're going to do this time. This is what we're going to do differently. We have the equipment. We're going to put it in the canals and it's going to clean them out. What percentage? And it will clean it out to 50% of empty or 50% of what it is now or something like that. But we don't even know if it can do that at this point.
Yeah, maybe we need to then just call it like a
An
work session,
educational
but an
session.
education session.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Right. So whether it's an educational meeting, I mean, I don't care if we open it up to the public, you know.
I don't either. We might have to because we're going to bring in Jennifer. I'm sure she's going to want some cash to do it.
Right.
And so if we're spending village funds, they're, you know, it's taxpayer money. They ought to be able to show up and see how it's being spent.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we just need to find someone to talk to us about what kind of aeration, where you put it in the lake, what do you expect from it?
Well, why don't, Kathy, you sound like you've had some contact with Jennifer.
I did meet her when I went to that conference a few years ago.
Okay.
So I'll look at my stuff and see if I can contact her. I may have a business card or some pamphlets.
Yeah, I met her years ago also. And I know I don't have any contact information for her. I've moved a couple of times and I'm sure it's either got tossed or buried.
Well, and since it's been, you know, what, like 6, 7, 8 years since they originally did the investigation, I'm sure we'll be able to find more detailed information now, or better, you know, people will have other like other lakes, and people will have results now after so many years of using it that might help us.
Yeah, the last time I do know the last time we went through it, we were one of the pioneering lakes.
Right. So that's what I'm hoping is now there's actually more data out there, or more experience from other people that we can look at.
And they can set us up with a more realistic goal, or set
Right.
us up to make a more realistic goal. So, okay, so let us know, Kathy, what you find out.
Yeah. Let me put a note, and I'll do a little digging, and I'll send an email to you guys next week and tell you what I know.
I'll chime in with an update on the harvester.
Okay, good.
I'm messaging with Grant right now. The only reason why he uses those other maps is because that's what's on the clipboard when he gets the clipboard.
I knew it was something as simple as
He
that.
Yeah.
runs the harvester off of the progressive AE map, and then that's how he decides where to go, and then he circles it on a different map and submits those.
Just because nobody printed the A&E map.
Just
and put it
because
on the clipboard.
nobody, he has a copy on the thing with him, but
Oh,
Mike
jeez.
told him he wants to know very precisely where he goes, so he gave him that other map. So now he colors one map, even though he's actively working off of the far more useful map.
Okay.
How does that satisfy the accuracy portion?
Yeah, exactly. It's just fine. I told him, I said, that's classic. And he said, I could totally use the other map. It's no problem. I said, yeah, that would make
Awesome.
life a lot easier.
Yeah, and if he can record on that GPS unit, that would be even
I
better.
just asked him, like, you know, it's got a GPS. Like, I could try and see what that would take. But I mean, step 0 is, hey, you already have the other map in your hand. Just circle the stuff and scan that one.
Yes, definitely. And it shouldn't be that hard to, if it's the GPS, to just export a CVS file,
Yeah.
but which would go into maps pretty easily. So, all right. Anything more from the canals?
No.
Okay. Lake enforcement issues.
I'm happy to report that after I complained about the unlit buoys, I swear the next day they were all on.
Hey, I was just back by you 3 nights ago. That
Yeah,
buoy
they're
back
all-
in your area is not lit.
They're on.
Yeah. They're off or on.
All right.
All right. Well, citizen power, right?
Yeah.
The power of complaint.
While
right.
we're on lake enforcement though, is anybody seeing any changes in no wake violations and any other things going on the lake? I mean, we have a lot more traffic than normal now, especially in the evening. I think it's actually, I hate to admit this, but I think it's gotten a little bit better back in my little cove back here, that people are slowing down a little bit more than they used to. But I don't know what everybody else is seeing.
I'm seeing more enforcement. I've seen at least one jet ski and two boats kind of escorted back to the launch by the police.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's weird because you'll see, I saw this guy offloading his jet ski at like 7:45, and I'm pulling in. Next thing I know, he goes ripping across the lake. And he met up with an officer. He just happened to be out there at that time, and they all kind of wandered back, and he left. So,
Well, good.
yeah.
I suspect that I've heard, I have a cottage on a lake up in northern Michigan, and I'm friends with a couple of other people on other lake boards, and they this whole wake boat thing is going to come to a head pretty soon.
Yeah.
People are starting to get a little sick and tired of it. So I have no opinion one way or the other here. People intend to have fun, but
Yeah.
I just know that people are getting sick of this. So I just look for that to come to the forefront here in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So
As I watch a fisherman out my window right now fishing under my dock.
For the fish are.
Speaking
For the
of
fish.
fishermen, I didn't chime in on the social media piece that, oh my God. Tell him you
So
reported.
everybody can be annoyed with the wake boats. This guy's not making any wake. He's more annoying to me.
There you go.
Just go out on your dock.
Yep.
Go for a walk.
I didn't chime in on the social media fury the other day. I saw your post, Ryan, and I applaud you. I didn't know what was going on. I'd come around on my boat a couple of times, and there recently have been fishermen that are anchoring like
Right in the middle of the lake.
mid-lake. It's like,
Right.
what are you guys? And they're casting both ways.
I know.
Like,
Crazy.
okay, what do you?
There was somebody the other day, there was somebody in the main lake, anchored right in the middle of the lake with
Yeah.
their floating mats and tubes out with their kids in the middle of the lake.
Yeah. And they're in the dialogue. I'm glad Chief Ellsworth chimed in.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But
And
I mean,
that-
the dialogue is of the nature of, hey, it's not against the law. It's my lake too. I'm floating
Yeah.
around. He was just trying to tell him, hey, be reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like driving your car 10 miles an hour on Glengarry is going to get you an impeding traffic ticket.
Exactly.
So is sitting in the middle of a high-speed boating area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is your lake and it's also your road, but you're not letting your kids running around out in it.
Right.
Glengarry, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
if
another
your
one of
kid got
those.
Run over, you wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that whole post started because the guy wrote an original post that was like, doesn't anybody know the rules? It's 7 o'clock and these boats are still zipping around here. And then everybody's like, the rule's 7:30.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then he deleted it and went back and still said, it's still ridiculous. All these boats driving around. It's like,
Right.
come on, you've got 15 and a half hours of no wake or low speed
Yeah.
boating. 15 and a half hours where you can fish wherever you want
Yeah.
all the time. Use
Yep.
those 15 and a half to the best of your ability. Outside of that,
Yeah.
get out of the way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Anyway.
All right. So 10E, topics for future business. The 3 and 5 year plan.
I wanted to make a comment on this, and I
Sure.
think that we kind of skirt around this, and we actually do a pretty good job of having a long-term agenda for the board, but I think we should formalize something. I think we should pick a time period and decide, okay, from September 1 to August 31st, this is what the board wants to try to accomplish. And I think that with that kind of guidepost, we would, you know, I think then we could kind of grade our own paper when we get to the end. I mean, we have a lot of good things going on right now. The harvester thing is really developing into a pretty organized effort, despite the lack of communication at the village hall. You know, the muck and the aeration thing. It's all part of, you know, sort of a long-term vision. I think that we need to formalize that. I think I've said this before, but I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we don't figure out what we want to be in a year, and 2 years, and in 5 years. So just my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I mean, I'll volunteer to frame out something, and we can pick September 1st to start talking about it, but.
Okay, if you want to put something together,
All right.
I'll fight you on it.
Just a general framework. I think that we're doing a lot of good stuff, and the only way to measure that is by the amounts of lack of complaints we're having, especially with all the things that are going on and the amount of boats that are on the lake. And speaking of, I guess I'd like to go in talking about boats and birds. I mean, we do these bird counts and we do these boat counts, but what, besides collecting data, what are we doing? You know, is there something that we can get from this data? Is there something we can derive from this? Are we looking for long-term trends for these things?
I think we're just kind of making sure that it's more of a monitoring situation, so things don't suddenly get out of control. Like the number of boats on the lake, you know, 3 months ago it was 45 and now it's 168. And what can the lake handle? I mean, I'm not even sure we know that.
Well, I remember from our course that lake bodies of water are rated for how many lakes they're supposed to be able to, or how many boats they're supposed to be able to handle.
I wonder where we find that information out. Who does that rating?
Who's the boat count guy?
I counted the boats, but I didn't count how many were in the water at a time. I counted the ones, well, in the water and then docked.
Yeah.
And I counted in the morning and they're basically all docked.
Yeah. But I mean, but how many boats are actually on the lake? And that, to me, that means how many are at docks. So there is a number out there for our lake. If it's a calculation or if it's established by the, by the state, but I think pretty sure there'd be a number out there for how many boats we're supposed to have. But then, okay, so what? So now what? If let's say we're 3 over, or now what? What are you gonna do? Tell somebody they can't have a boat?
Yeah, are you gonna have the police department stand there with a clicker?
Yeah. I mean, I would also, I'd also think that, I mean, I'm not a bird person, but it'd be interesting to understand what the bird population has been doing on our lake over time, or if there's any kind of trend at all. But
my understanding is that the bird count was mostly focused on waterfowl, ducks and geese.
right,
Swans.
swans.
Is that what you're interested in?
Well, let's take, for instance, I mean, our swan population, it seems to be down to me, and we don't have these killer swans out there like we've had in the past. At least I haven't seen any kind of mean swans. They're mean to the geese, but that's about it. So we collect all this data. It's like collecting, the data on the level of the lake. What are we doing with it? I mean, it's just kind of an open-ended question here.
I
think-
honestly don't know the
I
answer
think
to that.
If there's a trend, maybe the bird population is getting better on the lake, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know where any of that goes. I mean, does it just get buried in the minutes of this, board?
Yeah.
And, somebody reports it and it just gets buried and all that data is sitting in the minutes? I honestly do not know that. But
Well, I just
the prob-
assume the reason we try to gather that data is that it's gonna signal something. If we notice a dramatic rise or fall in any of those counts, of course, unless we look at them routinely, or if we know what might be the consequence of those conditions. But yeah, I
think it's been
look at a lot of this
suggested,
stuff and it's like, why?
I think it's been suggested several times by several people. There needs to be some sort of central data repository for the village, which I don't think exists, or if it does exist, it's fairly well hidden. It sounds to me like most of the data for this lake, for the lake and for the roads and for the planning and everything else we need to run the village is spread throughout many different people's computers and file cabinets. And we almost need, we need a more central location to where people can get this information out of when they need it.
We need to just think about, and maybe somebody over the winter can take a stab at analyzing some of this data that we're collecting. I know on the bird count, for instance, it's not taken at a specific time of the year, fall or spring. It's taken at some point, which would mean to me, the data could be all over the place just based on when it's collected.
I thought it was mostly in the spring, but it was never a consistent date.
Yeah, but I mean like a particular, how we have goose roundup on on a window based on where they're at in their getting their feathers. But anyway, it's just a thought. I wanted to have an alibi and go back up to the complaints to the village. My wife, we were out on the lake and I said, there's a fishing tournament going on. And she said, well, how come you guys don't know about that? And that's a really good question. I think one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of these online fishing tournaments come into our lake. The other day there were fishing boats all over the place. But we have no idea what's going on. So do we have any kind of rights here as a village to know when these guys are coming in and setting up on the lake to run a fishing tournament? Because we're the ones stocking the lake.
If we're paying to put fish in there.
So I don't even know how to address that question to somebody, but
The lake, it's a public
in
lake
our
though,
launch,
right?
right? So we don't own the launch, so we can't.
It's public.
We don't control who comes into the lake for what purposes. However, I think it doesn't seem unreasonable to be notified when there's a fishing tournament going on our lake.
Yeah, it certainly would be, but I don't know if there's anything we can do legally to stop them or to even force them to notify us.
Well, that's worth checking out because what's next? What if the public decided they wanted to have a flotilla and do some sort of a parade, some other type of event that is more disruptive than a fishing contest
or a wake boat contest.
There you go, a race. I'd heard, on the dark web, Martini's got a lot of stuff going on. You've got the Wake Brigade all set.
We're gonna see.
We're gonna see. Boat, Ryan?
We're gonna see how much how big of a wave can we make if we all line up at once?
Called Swamp the Pond, it's the Swamp the Pontoon Contest.
We're
See
gonna
if
we're
you
gonna
can
park we're gonna park a fishing boat in the middle of the lake anchor, and we're gonna see if we can flip it.
There you go.
First one to flip it with gets $500, right?
Yep.
But we kind of chuckle at it, but somebody may come up with that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we may have some latitude over that sort of thing. We may not, but
Yeah, we do. Because as a village, we do stock the lake.
yeah.
I would think that we would have some say on a fishing tournament that's coming in and taking all our fish
Yeah,
that we just paid for.
right.
I don't know. That's something to ask the administrator, provided he'll answer and that he's still engaged enough to really know this. I'll make a note about that. For the so bird coat count, boat count kind of covered. Aeration we've kind of talked about.
Well, back to the boat count, Doug, I don't know if you did it last year as well. Is there any kind of, it seems like we got a whole lot more boats on than last year.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Ah, look at you.
Look at you go.
Yeah. So we got it back to 1997,
Whoa.
576 in 2020, assuming I counted right, we have less, 550. So the trend over the year was to go up through the middle 2000s, and then it's kind of come down a little bit.
That's shocking to me.
That's literally the boat dealers are sold out of boats. But hey, listen, maybe people are selling boats too. My neighbors don't have boats here. I sold one of my boats, didn't replace it. My neighbor over here doesn't have boats this year, so there's definitely right by me less boats.
Wow.
Well, the trend over the year in power boats have gone down, jet skis down, pontoons way up, and then we just
Toledo.
started tracking wake boats. So
Pontoons are going up because they're strapping 200 horsepower engines on the back of them.
Yeah, really.
My screen, the only one going nuts.
No, yeah, probably I could see this.
Yeah, I think yours is.
Okay.
Huh.
at any rate, I have this file and I sent it to Michael Smith. So, I got it from him, so he has it as well.
When do you do these counts? You do it like first thing in the morning?
I did it, was it Sunday morning, I think it was?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. When was that fish tournament? Was that last weekend?
Jeez.
It was during the week.
During the week.
Yeah.
So last week this went on?
Was it earlier this?
Yeah.
I don't remember now. It was
last week. I
it
remember
was
seeing
everywhere.
about 5 or 6 fishing boats take off from the launch at one time, just
Yeah.
cutting across the lake.
I mean, look across the lake and Doug probably can see it as good as anybody else. He can see the parade of boats right there in front of where he lives. But it was earlier this week. It was in the evening. We were out for a walk, but I noticed there was boats everywhere and they were fishing boats.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send an email to the administrator and see what he has to say about.
What do we want to do? Just know that it's happening, or?
Well, yes, I think that's fair.
I'd like to see if we've got more control than that. But yeah, at the very least, notify. But
It's a public lake. I don't know how much you can control.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying with notification. We'd like to know that this is going on so we can inform our residents not to go out in your pontoon boat and piss off the people fishing.
well,
I'm not going to step on my pontoon boat just because they're having a fishing tournament.
Yeah, are you kidding? Neither am I.
Yeah, bullshit.
but I mean, just for the sake of coordinating events, I mean, if that continues to grow, as something that happens. Eventually, when things in the planet get a little back more to normal, you're gonna have fishing contests from someplace else bumping into, different types of parties out there. Somebody's gonna have a platform party or a barge party kind of thing going on
Or you could have two fishing tournaments scheduled on the same weekend
at
on
the
our
same
lake.
time. Exactly, or we could have a community event that has been organized by the village and have that disrupted by.
Somebody could
Absolutely.
hold a fishing tournament on Tiki night. You
There you
know,
go.
so
So,
I
yeah.
think just information informing us that this is happening is can only benefit all the parties involved.
Yeah.
So you don't end up with just giant chaos.
Yeah.
And we should be able to have some control over that,
I agree.
but maybe we don't. We're talking about the law. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense.
It's true.
Okay. Liaison report. Paul.
Yeah, I gotta believe after this meeting, there actually was a planning committee, or
Whoa.
planning commission. I know.
What do you know?
I know. It was pretty exciting stuff.
Hey, real quick, before you get to that, I just got a question. We had some talk about sewer connections and trying to see if we could convince people in the village to get a special assessment together and all that. Did you
Yeah.
ever think about that at all? I'm asking primarily for myself because I'm actually gonna probably connect to the sewer, so. But
I haven't, I do want to check. There've been some rumors that some people have been doing some septic repair.
This is there's 3 people on my street now that have connected to sewer this month. So
Okay,
there are people who
Wow.
are doing it, so maybe we could send out
Yeah.
a chime and say, anybody want to put together, be part of it, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. I'll check on that.
Okay. Just throw it on the village page or something, if there's
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah. The planning commission is looking at a couple different things. We're gonna go over the master plan. We're supposed to do that every 10 years or 5 years or 10 years. And correct things in our ordinances that are kind of out of whack a little bit. For instance, the zoning doesn't allow for the Glengarry Inn. It's not zoned properly over there. And I asked, being naive and knew how that happened, how we, allowed the Glengarry Inns. Now, Glengarry Inn was there before we put any kind of, zoning issues together. So we're looking at that. We pretty much, we're going to recommend to the board that the side yard fencing be allowed to go up to 6 foot. There'd been some question as to whether or not that might create a public safety issue. And we talked with John Ellsworth and with the fire department from Commerce, and they're both fine with it. They're not concerned about the access. And Ellsworth thinks it's to be a good idea, so he gets fewer dog complaints and things of that nature. So,
What's it set at now, Paul?
4 feet, I think.
4
or
feet?
40
Okay.
42 inches, I think.
Every day, somebody lost their dog in this village.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know what they're going to post on Facebook once we fix it.
Once they get that 6-foot fence, there'll be nothing left to talk about.
I know. It's terrible. Well, maybe
We'll have-
fishing.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
Don't do it. We'll have more weed complaints.
Yeah.
Let them lose their dogs and talk about that. Forget it. We don't need we don't need algae complaints. Everybody's out looking for their dog.
What's the rule
Yeah.
on chickens?
Yeah, exactly.
The same. None.
I needed chickens and pizza ovens. What's up, Paul?
Yeah. Hey, we can do pizza ovens, but we just can't do a pizza oven or a trampoline at the same time. You got to make a choice.
It's a tough life.
It is.
Yeah.
It's rough out here on the lake. Yeah.
First world problems.
That's right. All they did was they mentioned that we're still kind of struggling a little bit with the commercial vehicle ordinance. We want to get it right. And we don't want to exclude anybody that's simply trying to make a living and their vehicle doesn't happen to fall into the right category. We thought we had it nailed down, but we found out that I guess there's certain trucks that will exceed the weight class. There's different weight classes and sizes of trucks. So it's hard to get the right piece where you've got a truck that doesn't overpower the scenery yet, because you can get trucks. I think it's 10 to 14,000 pounds.
What's the difference between these commercial trucks and say an RV or a motorhome? Just because they're painted funny, people don't like what they look like. I mean, nobody complains.
Yeah, I think there's an aesthetic. Well, there's two things. For one is it's a commercial vehicle ordinance. So if you don't have something and somebody, does a lot of heavy landscaping work, so you got backhoes and all kinds of other stuff hanging around somebody's yard, probably would be the way to go. But if somebody works for Molly Maid or has a van, with their company logo on the side, it's not as big a deal. But so we're just trying to hit a happy medium on that. But the RVs wouldn't count because it's not a commercial vehicle. Well, depending on what you decided to do with it, but for the most part, they're not commercial vehicles. But so we're hoping to come up with a plan that'll work. We don't want to make a recommendation to the board, have them change an ordinance, so we got to turn around and change as quickly as we made it. So that's
Makes
about
sense. Well, our village council liaison is not attendant. So I don't know if we have any liaison report from there or if it's necessary.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the new admin or pending new admin is probably the news that has to come from there, but
So, and don't forget that probably December we'll have a new one of those.
Yeah.
I fully expect it to be our buddy,
better not. Ed,
yeah, Ed Sinkowitz.
be looking for some new water board members. That's why I was figuring Mike was running for council.
Seat up
That'd
or
be
not?
great.
Is his seat up?
He's up.
He's up this time?
Yep, he's up for election.
There won't be an Ed.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. People recognize the name, and I don't know how many other people are on it. Who else ran?
Yeah.
There's 8 people running.
Yeah.
There's 4 spots,
Wow.
right? Is it 4
Yeah.
spots?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but my guess is he got better than a 50% chance. Right? And
Yeah.
everybody does. The incumbents will be hard to get rid of.
Maybe we can get Mr. Duff to join us.
Yeah, we can have a Duff family party on the water.
Oh
board.
God, no.
Duff family party.
I'm just gonna say anybody but Ed.
Kathy can take
This
over.
is going
for
on
Mike.
YouTube.
Yeah, all it will be is nothing but fighting.
Kathy can take over for Mike Sargent as the lead, and then your husband can come and be the liaison.
Oh my
The
God.
Duff-
Wow.
The Duff board.
You're just looking for trouble.
Duff board. I like
The Duff board.
Says no to everything.
All right, so comments from the board members? I'm not sure. So that leaves us with the magic number 13, the adjournment.
Yay.
Move we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Third.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the next meeting is on the 2nd of September. So we'll probably talk about what Mike had, if Mike's gonna have some of that stuff
Yep.
or a
Cool.
1-year plan. So, all
All
right,
right.
Got it.
All right.
we'll
Stay
see you in a month.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.